Hello, my name is Anna, and I love trying vintage recipes. So today I'm trying 3 zucchini recipes from the 1960s. Today's recipes come to us from Favorite Recipes of America Vegetables. This book was published in 1966, and I'll talk more about it a little bit later. We are in the thick of summer, and that means zucchini season. So zucchini is abundant right now. Maybe you grow it yourself, maybe you're seeing it at the farmers markets, maybe people are sneaking zucchini onto your doorstep because they have too much. There are a lot of good uses for zucchini out there. You know, there's always good old zucchini bread or muffins. It's a great vegetable that you can just kind of cook very simply and eat on its own. And it even freezes pretty well, but when you just have so much zucchini, you don't know what to do with it. You might be looking for some new ideas. And that is the goal of this video. I pulled this book out of my collection. It features vegetables. So there's lots of different chapters in here on all kinds of vegetables and even fruits. And of course it has a squash and zucchini chapter. So I thought this particular video would be helpful at this time of year just to give you a few new ideas on how to use up that zucchini. For my first recipe, I'm trying out this baked zucchini, and it comes to us from Dorothy Pisano from Pownell, Vermont. I'm probably saying a lot of that wrong. But the first step is to cook zucchini until just tender. I recently made a stuffed zucchini recipe where I had to first cook the zucchini a little bit until it was tender, and I'm just gonna use that very same method. So that means putting a little bit of water, that's 1/4 of a cup, into a pan. I'm gonna put my sliced zucchini in and bring a little heat. And I'm gonna cover that and let it simmer for about 4 or 5 minutes. While my zucchini is over on the stove cooking, I'm gonna work on the rest of my ingredients. So first I have to beat an egg. Twist whisk. And now I'm gonna add some sour cream. Next up, I'm adding my chopped onion, some finely grated cheddar cheese, and I need to grab some salt and pepper in a spatula. So I have a little bit of salt. It's salt and pepper just to taste, so I'm just gonna do a little pinch here. That's where I'm at with this mixture so far, and now comes the zucchini. Coming back in with my cooked zucchini and a buttered casserole dish, because we're also gonna bake this. I mean, obviously we are, it's baked zucchini. So I need to mix my zucchini. It smells good. It does smell good. I think there could maybe be a little more seasoning to it. There's just the salt and pepper. It doesn't give a size on the casserole dish, so I just kind of compared how much zucchini I had in that bowl visually, and I went, okay, that's about this much. So it needs to go in here. The final touch is going to be some buttered crackers, whatever kind you want. If it's Ritz, if it's Club. I went for the Aldi brand personally, so just, you know, it doesn't give an amount on this either. This is just kind of like the little icing on the cake, the buttery topping on your casserole. So just crumble those and distribute them evenly. Okay, let's bring it a little closer. Pre-oven. So now I need to bake this at 350 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes. So 35 minutes later, we're looking good, we're smelling good, we've got that nice toasty top. I'm gonna get a little scoop of this. It's still pretty hot. I let it cool for about 5 minutes, but you know, I really wanna give it a try. The squash, the zucchini seems very tender. Ooh, it's hot. It's like steaming hot. Okay. Ooh, I smell the onion. I smell the onion a lot. And I can see as I scoop into it that the egg kind of like brought everything together. It was like binding everything together. I think the onion might be a little bit undercooked. That is very warm. It's hot, in fact. Should let it cool for longer. Okay, thoughts here. The onion is undercooked. You kind of like cook the zucchini a little bit ahead of time, just until it's tender. I think if you could maybe do the same thing with the onion. I don't love the texture of a crunchy onion. Some people like it, so if you like it, just follow this recipe as is. The zucchini is a very nice texture. Let me try some with that like buttery topping here. The topping is a nice addition. Overall though, I think this dish is a little bit under-seasoned. The onion does provide a little bit of flavor. It just needs a little bit more seasoning. Otherwise, I think it's like a good start. Next, I'm mixing up batter for some zucchini pancakes. I'm guessing these are maybe a little bit like potato pancakes. I'm not sure. It just says combine all ingredients and mix well. Okay, I'm gonna start with the egg. Let's just do that first. We'll do the sugar, flour, salt, and baking powder. Scrape this a little bit. It's another thing I like about the twist whisk is when I forget to grab a spatula, I can scrape my bowl with it, kinda. So now I'm gonna add my shredded zucchini. It just says 1 large zucchini. Doesn't really give an indication. I used one that was about a pound and shredded it up, and I got, what is this, like over 2 cups of zucchini. It doesn't seem like the batter is too wet. I was worried that maybe the zucchini I chose wasn't big enough. And the zucchini itself has a lot of moisture in it. So maybe, you know, giving some of that up as I prepare to fry these into pancakes. I mean, it's not really a batter. It's a bunch of zucchini that's kind of like held together by those ingredients. So I'm gonna move over to the stove and make some pancakes. I went ahead, I melted a little bit of butter in a pan. It says you can use oil or butter, or margarine for that matter. So let's get to frying. Just gonna do one, you know? It's always good to do a test pancake, isn't it? Especially when I have no idea. I have no idea how these are gonna go. Ooh, we're sliding around the pan, okay. Okay, good sign. Okay, it's cooking, it's cooking. I'm gonna leave it go. Oh no. Oh, I saved it, yay! I think I would make these a little bit smaller. This is the test pancake though. And we learned things from the test pancake. I think I'm gonna try for some smaller pancakes here. They may be slightly misshapen. It adds to the charm, right? I chose the 3 nicest pancakes to sample and to use for the thumbnail. Of course I did. They smell very delicious. They're very thin, and I did end up making them smaller. That was kind of the way to go. And I would also say, as you're making them, instead of a ladle, like a flat kind of serving spoon, to spoon this in to the like skillet as you're frying them is probably a better way to go. Okay. These have cooled off quite a bit because I'm kind of like frying more as I go. They still, I mean, they taste really good. I wasn't sure because I was like, okay, this is a very simple recipe. And the zucchini did cook. Very flavorful. You know, buttery, salty. It's got a good texture from the shredded zucchini. I like this a lot. I just dropped some on the floor. But don't let that be a reflection on how I feel about this recipe. For my final recipe, I'm making stewed zucchini. This is from Mrs. Samuel Starr of Dumont, New Jersey. And although this recipe is very simple, I think it has a lot of potential. First, I need to heat up some olive oil. Should have been doing that while I showed you the recipe. And look at all these veggies. Zucchini, tomatoes, pepper, and onion. All of that's gonna go in here. We're gonna start with a small diced onion. I just need to cook that for a few minutes. Next, I'm adding some diced green pepper. Same thing, I just need to let that cook for a few minutes. Add my zucchini. The recipe called for 6 small zucchini that have been peeled and diced. I couldn't find small ones. So I am cutting this recipe in half, and I purchased just a regular, like not the tiny zucchini, but this one I think was about 2/3 of a pound. So again, just let it cook. The zucchini is just starting to brown a little bit, and now I have to add my peeled diced tomatoes. So if you don't know how to peel a tomato, all you need to do is score it, make like a little X with a knife, drop it in some boiling water, take it out, put it in an ice bath, and then the peel comes off really easily. So I was gonna buy fresh tomatoes. They looked terrible. So I actually peeled some Campari tomatoes that I had in my freezer. That's why it's making a little bit of a fuss here. So it allowed me to use something that was in my freezer, and I think it's gonna taste a lot better than the tomatoes that I could have gotten at the store today. Oh, it looks so pretty. Lovely colors. So now it's just seasoned with salt and pepper. Just stir that all together. I'm gonna lower the heat, cover, and then let this simmer for about 20 minutes. There's our beautiful veggie dish. I did end up cooking this for closer to 15 minutes instead of 20 because it was really getting very soft. I didn't want it to like fall apart. Now you may be thinking, this is just sauteed zucchini, onion, green pepper, tomato. Yeah, it is. I chose very simple recipes for this video on purpose. My thought was it's warm outside, the weather's nice. Probably don't want to spend a ton of time on something complicated in the kitchen. So this kind of fits the bill. And I just have a feeling it's gonna be delicious. I think this would make a great side dish, but my other thought is like tossing this with some cooked pasta to make like a summer vegetable pasta dish. Ooh, yum. Okay, I gotta try this and then we'll talk more. Gotta get a bite of everything. Still very hot, but so flavorful. I think this is my favorite dish out of the three because it is so simple, but it yields such delicious results. You know, I'm not much of a gardener. I've said this many times before. I don't really grow things. I'm not good at it, but my grandparents were, and my mom was a gardener as well. And from what I remember growing up, because, you know, I did cook the food, I did cook the vegetables. These were the vegetables that we always seem to have the most of. Zucchini, tomatoes, green peppers, onions. You know, during the summertime at the height of the season, you're gonna have a lot of this stuff. And I think this is a really easy and delicious way to use a lot of it up. So all of that cooking footage was taken about 3 weeks ago before my surgery. But don't worry, I took some notes. I have thoughts. I have a lot of things I want to talk about. So this particular book on vegetables is part of a set. I believe it has 5 volumes. I don't know that I have all of them. I have at least 4, but this one does say volume 5 on the spine. And it comes to us from Favorite Recipes Press. And if you're a cookbook collector, that may sound familiar to you. I have several books in my collection, even outside of this series, that came from Favorite Recipes Press. And Favorite Recipes Press is still around today. You can visit their website. Here's what it says. Here's the description of the company. Favorite Recipes Press is the nation's best known and most respected custom cookbook company. Since 1961, we've produced over 150 award-winning cookbooks and partnered with hundreds of top-ranked chefs, food and appliance manufacturers, restaurants, resorts, health organizations, junior leagues, and nonprofit organizations to create more than 1,500 cookbook titles. It's one of those publishing companies that you can kind of go to help you compile a cookbook for your organization, or they have the books like this where a lot of people contributed to them. Each recipe, you know, you could even see in the book, each recipe is attributed to someone in a certain city, town throughout the United States. And these books are just chock full of recipes, lots and lots of recipes, pages and pages. I mean, you can see they do double columns on each page, and the typeface is not very large, so you can fit a lot in here. There are some photographs of the recipes, and if you look, this is a little messy, if you look at the pages here, you can kind of see where there's a change in some of them, and that's like a glossy piece of paper where they have a color photo. They have some black and white photos in here too, but let's look at some of the color ones. So this one is beans. I don't know what beans, but I love the yellow pot. Oh no, here it is, cranberry baked beans. There we go. If you want to look at that, maybe make it yourself. There's the recipe. And then each vegetable is represented kind of by an individual chapter. This is the cabbage chapter, and you can see this black and white photo of some of the cabbage dishes that you can make. Recipe for fresh cabbage with caraway cheese sauce on page 71. So they do have these photos labeled. And what is this? This looks like maybe like a Brussels sprout soup. I don't know. I don't mind Brussels sprouts, but I don't think I've had them as a soup. Brussels sprouts harvest soup. So I was correct. It was a Brussels sprout soup, but it has sprouts, bacon, garlic. Sounds like a good start. Green peas, diced carrots, Parmesan cheese. It does actually sound pretty good. We have eggplant recipes. I love eggplant. This is another soup right here. Vichyssoise. So that is like a leek soup. Ooh, look at this fall photo. Look at this fall photo. I don't know if those are sweet. I mean, I thought maybe like apricots at first, but I'm thinking sweet potatoes. Coconut broiled Louisiana yams. That actually sounds pretty good. Coconut and yams or sweet potatoes kind of sounds tasty to me. Fruit beverages, fruit salads, yes. So the final section of this book does have a lot of like fruits in it, and then some pickled kinds of things too. Pickled like relishes, corn relishes, chutneys, that kind of thing. If you find any of these books, you're guaranteed to get a lot of recipes. And people sent the recipes into the publishing company. So, you know, maybe they were sharing their best stuff. Maybe you'll get some really good ones. I think I might have showed you all the color photos actually. Not a ton in here, not a ton in here. The cover photo is the same as the back photo. Ooh, fruit desserts, fruit appetizers. Wow, okay, anyway. I would say if you find a book like this from Favorite Recipes of America or Favorite Recipes Press, they are definitely worth picking up because they have a lot of interesting things that like follow a specific theme. I think vegetables, you know, there are specific ways that we like to prepare them and fix them, but maybe you want to step outside of your comfort zone and give something else a try, especially if you are a gardener and you grow things. Maybe you have like a farm share program or something in your area and you like to get those shares every week. You know, a book like this could give you some really good ideas on what to do with that abundance of produce. So let's talk about the recipes I made today. First recipe was for baked zucchini. Upon first glance, I thought this one was pretty interesting. It has some cheese and some sour cream and things like that. There's an egg in there. I thought it would be a little bit more flavorful than it was, honestly. I would not make this one again without some pretty significant modifications. Like I said, I think it's a good start. I really think it needs to be a little bit more seasoned than what is mentioned in the recipe. The buttered cracker crumbs, like they do offer a lot in the way of flavor. So, you know, if you make this and you serve it up, definitely like don't skimp on those buttered cracker crumbs. But I don't know, it was just kind of like lacking a little bit. If I'm remembering correctly, some of the vegetables were like at different levels of crunchiness, which I kind of didn't enjoy. So I think you could use this recipe for like the foundation and then add your own seasonings, maybe make your own modifications to it. So next I made some zucchini pancakes, and these were delightful. These were very good. They were kind of like thin, just ever so slightly sweet little pancakes. And I would make them small. I wouldn't go very big. So I think making them the size that I made those like cheese-olettes in the Pillsbury video, like that's good. Sort of like, almost like finger food that you can pick up, you know, eat with a fork, whatever you want. But I think it would have been much harder, and it was much harder when I made them larger. Flavor-wise and texture-wise, I thought they were so good. Not quite as like, I would say like thick as a fritter. They were definitely pancakes, and the batter was kind of like, it was almost like a thin crepe batter. I think you could kind of adjust the amount of zucchini in this too. I think you could add a little bit more than the recipe says to, and you would be just fine if you want to use a little bit more of it up. These were really good. I think they would make a pretty decent side dish, but honestly, I'd probably, you know, eat them in the morning too. So I think you could also make a batch of these ahead of time, like for a meal prep, and freeze them and then just kind of like reheat them in the microwave. They would be pretty tasty. And my last recipe was for stewed zucchini. And I know this recipe does not look like it's going to amount to much, but it was my favorite. Of the three, this was my top favorite recipe because it was so flavorful. So simple, but so flavorful. And I love when recipes turn out that way. So you think just because it's simple, it only has a few ingredients, it only has simple seasonings, and like the cooking method isn't too complicated, you know, maybe it's not going to be a big deal, but this was so good. It was so good as a side dish. I think it would be great with pasta as well. I had some leftover, and then I ended up having some like leftover sauteed mushrooms that I threw in with that, like when I was eating the leftovers, and it was such a good combination. So yes, I know this is barely a recipe, maybe some of you are thinking, but honestly, like if this is not a way that you would normally think to make your zucchini, maybe give it a try, even though it is simple. And I also really like that it uses up some other produce. I'm talking to you, tomatoes and green peppers. Growing up with grandparents and parents who had a garden, those were the things that we always had a lot of. Another one that I think would be great as a side dish, you know, just to accompany maybe some simple grilled chicken or something like that, or toss it with some pasta and make it like more of the main part of your meal. So I hope some of you found this video at least a little bit helpful. Maybe if you don't try these recipes, maybe this inspired you to go and seek out some other types of recipes to try with that zucchini that you have. If you love recipes and cookbooks from the 1960s, I have an entire playlist and I'll link it in the description down below. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I am very close to reaching 50,000 subscribers. I would love to have you here. I post videos about food, vintage cookbooks, and retro recipes every week. So if that's your thing, please subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.